Okay, everyone. Welcome to our first availability for the season with Coach Monte Lee and David Sharpe and Kier Meredith. Just a few things before we get started. We're trying this room in the auditorium, and Wi-Fi may be a little sketchy, so if there's any issues with that, please let us know through the chat. Also, for these recordings today and throughout the year, we'll upload the files to YouTube at the Clemson Sports Information page that you use for football. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to Coach Lee, who will make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
How's everybody doing out there? What a great day. Always an exciting day to get started up with team practice. Since we came back in January, we've been very blessed in that we started classes on January the 6th here at Clemson, which has given us a lot of opportunities to be able to get out on the field, to get a lot of really good baseball work in with our guys. I feel like we're in great shape. Pitching staff looks outstanding. A lot of competitive workouts up to this point. Actually had a short inter squad on Tuesday. We had 4 hours that we could work with based on NCAA rules and played 7 innings on Tuesday. So we're already, in my opinion, ahead of the game. I feel like we're probably farther along right now than we've been in the past. So it's just an exciting day to get started up, and looking forward to seeing the guys face off against each other today and, begin the season.
Coach Joe Gorcho, WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm curious, what is your approach to managing the stress and the unknowns of a COVID environment, and also creating roster flexibility? Because week to week and perhaps even game to game, things could certainly fluctuate from players available.
Well, it's a great question, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we all will face this year as baseball coaches is managing our roster because of COVID. And I will tell you guys this, we haven't been through a season yet with it. We had our season canceled last year, 17 games in. We did have to deal with the virus in the fall. I'm sure every college baseball coach, especially who is in the position that we are in here at Clemson, where we test our guys, every guy on our roster every single week, we've already had to deal with COVID. And we've already had to deal with the rules, the CDC guidelines, as far as the direct contacts. If you have a guy that tests positive, he and his teammates, his roommates, are out. So we've already had to deal with that. It's basically just kind of dealing with the day by day, how many guys do we have available? Who do we have out, because of COVID and those kind of things. And also making the adjustment as you go through this process as to these are the things that we need to bring up to our guys and that our guys need to be aware of to keep them safe. We've made a lot of adjustments just to our day in and day out operations. We haven't used the player facility or the locker room until this week. So the whole fall, our guys basically would show up at the field in their practice attire, and we'd practice, and then they would leave. We didn't feed them any meals post-practice. We wore masks in the dugout, masks in the batting cages, constantly just trying to keep our guys safe as we possibly could. And we still had to deal with the virus. So I think we have a pretty good grasp of what we're dealing with. The biggest thing is just trying to do everything we can as coaches to make sure our guys are doing the right things. And a lot of that is just going to be their accountability off the field. These are college students. We know that they want to spend time in groups. They want to gather. They want to socialize. But we simply cannot do those types of things this spring if we expect to be able to work with our full roster throughout the whole course of the spring. So we know that we're going to have some hiccups, but we're just going to have to deal with it and do the very best we can.
Hey, Monty, this is Will with the Clemson Insider. What's the health of the team going into the first day of practice? Not just COVID related, but any other injuries, updates, or anything like that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Physically, we're in really good shape outside of we do have Adam Hackenberg, who is our team captain and our starting catcher. He's out right now. He has an arm injury. We feel like he could be out for some time. We're not exactly sure how long quite yet. We expect it to be over the next couple weeks. It could go into the season that he may not be available. And we will do everything we can to get Jonathan French and Cooper Ingle ready to go. We are also in the process starting today of moving a couple guys in behind the plate. We've been working with them, trying to turn them into catchers. So we'll begin that process immediately of trying to add to our depth behind the plate because losing Adam for some time, and we don't know exactly how long quite yet, it is a pretty big blow. Pitching wise, we're in pretty good shape. Knock on wood, we haven't had any significant issues up to this point. And positionally with everybody else, we're in pretty good shape. So, we were fortunate to be able to get through the fall with no significant physical injuries. But we are dealing right now with the loss of Adam, here for what looks like, could be a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. We don't know. We'll just have to see how he responds, here over the next few weeks.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor from CUTigers.com here. Did Jeffrey Gilbert lock up one of the weekend starting spots, or is that still an open competition over the next couple of weeks? And what about the third spot as well?
That's a good question. I would say that our starting rotation is certainly up for grabs up to this point. We feel like the main contenders right now for those spots are going to be Davis Sharpe. Again, I think I said it in the fall. If we were to start the season today, Davis would get the ball. He's pitching today. We feel like based on what we saw in the fall, we tried to match up our guys with who we think we had a chance to start on those given days so that when we enter squad on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and on Tuesday, which is what we're going to do over the next 3 weeks, we want to put guys in a position that we feel like have a chance to start on those days. So going into this weekend, Sharpe's going to start today against Evan Estridge. Evan Estridge is by far the most improved pitcher on our staff, which is why I'm starting him against Sharpe. We feel like he's going to have a major impact on this team. His velocity and stuff have increased dramatically. Caden Grice will throw tomorrow. We're actually going to start Jackson Lindley against him. Carter Raffield was going to start, and we scratched him. We're actually going to push Carter back to next Tuesday. He's just had some soreness, and we don't want to push him. He's looked really good in live pins, but Carter and Caden are going to be in the mix for a weekend spot as well. Hopefully Carter feels pretty good next Tuesday when he pitches. And then game 3 this weekend will be Matt Clark against Keyshawn Askew. And we feel like both of those guys obviously have a chance to be weekend guys as well. On Tuesday, Ty Olenchuk will get the ball. And again, depending on how Carter feels over the next few days, he may start or we may throw him out of the pen on Tuesday. But I would say that's kind of the mix right now. Sharpe, Askew, Grice, Olenchuk, Clark, Raffield, those guys are probably in the mix, I would say, to start. Lindley could factor in there as well. Jeffrey is going to be a major piece for us. I see Jeffrey as probably back end of the bullpen type guy for us right now. Jeffrey's going to be stretched out some out of the pen. Our guys are all on similar pitch counts right now for the first couple weeks. So there's really not a big difference between how much, say, Davis Sharpe will throw and Jeffrey Gilbert will throw outside of, Sharpe may throw an additional 10 pitches per outing, but we're going to stretch Jeffrey out as well out of the bullpen and get his pitch count up. So there's a chance that he could start, but, if you were to tell me to make a decision right now, it would be very hard for me not to give Jeffrey Gilbert the ball in the ninth inning to save a ball game. He's tough as nails. He's a competitor. He's been in high leverage situations already. So he would be the guy that I would think would have a chance to be the guy at the back end right now. But, we're going to see what the next 3 weeks holds. And I'm certainly open-minded to the idea that Jeffrey could start for us because he's very, very good, and he's going to be very good for us this year.
Coach, you mentioned
Following up on Ty Olenchuk, he's one of the Midlands guys. It's a freshman. I'm curious, out of that Midlands group that are freshmen, first off, what do you like about Ty that he fits into that Tuesday role for you? And do you envision any other freshmen making an immediate contribution, and guys from like the Midlands area, from Alex Urban, Landon Lucas, Ricky Williams? Like, do you see any of those guys also fitting in as the year goes on, outside of just Ty, who obviously has that Tuesday slot, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, and again, all these spots are open for competition. But I would say out of the Midlands group, we feel very good about the Midlands group. Olenchuk is, I think he's going to be a star. I really do. His stuff is good. He's 92 to 94. His breaking ball's getting better. But he's also one of those guys that he thinks he's really good too. So, and that's a huge part of the battle, is that confidence and that swagger and that toughness. And Ty is certainly that guy. He's a bulldog. So that's why I'm so high on Olenchuk. We think Ricky Williams, as he gains strength. Right now, Ricky was 91, 92 on Tuesday. He started, and he'll probably start again on Tuesday. He was 91, 92. Which was better than he was in the fall. So his velocity and stuff has gotten better, and we think he has a chance to be really good as well. Landon Lucas was 92 to 94 out of the bullpen on Tuesday with power stuff. Feel like he has a chance to be outstanding for us as well on the mound. And Urban's a strong left-handed bat that can juice some balls out of the yard. He hit 5 home runs in the fall. So he's got a chance. He's got to develop more consistency at the plate and defensively, but we think he has a chance. He's a left-handed hitter with power, and we know how, those guys, you tend to like those guys. So we feel like the Midlands group is a special group, and we're very, very excited to have all those guys.
Hey, Coach, it's David Hood with TigerNet.com. Every spring we talk about hey, we really like our pitching, but we're going to have to grow our offense. Or maybe we really like what we have offensively, but our pitching needs to come along. How do you feel heading into this spring? Is, maybe one group ahead of the other right now?
That's a good question. I would say that our pitching depth and the quality of our pitching is very good for me. We need Davis Sharpe to be a number one. We all know what we lost last year in Sam Weatherly, a true Friday night horse. We need Davis to be a true Friday night horse. We feel like 1 through 10 pitching wise, we may have as quality of pitching, just purely strike throwers with good secondary off-speed pitches and stuff. We feel like we're pretty dang deep there. So I really like our pitching. Offensively, I like our group, but it's going to be a group that 1 through 9 is going to have to just keep coming at you. Just keep coming at you with good at bat after good at bat. There's certainly some guys that have star power offensively, but there's a lot of quality offensive players here too. And I think we have a chance to have a lineup 1 through 9 that can do a lot of things really, really well. So if you were to ask me where do I think one group is ahead of the other, I would say our pitching probably is ahead of our offense. And quite honestly, I like it that way. I think we would all prefer to have a pitching staff that's ahead of our offense. If our offense is ahead of our pitching staff, in my experience and in the way that baseball has worked for over 100 years, if you got a lineup that's knocking around your pitching staff, that usually does not bode well for making a deep run into postseason. So we want to be a team that can pitch and defend. I love the offensive side of the game. That's the side that I coach. So I'm very passionate about that side, but I also know what it takes to win baseball games, and that's, you got to pitch and defend. So that's kind of where we are right now. I think our pitching is pretty dang good, and I think our offense is going to continue to get better and better.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor again. You mentioned Caden Grice a few minutes ago. You said back in the fall that you thought that he had as much raw power as anybody you've ever coached, which is quite a statement. Did he continue to impress you throughout the fall, and how has he come along just as a pure hitter? And do you expect him to play first base for the most part when he's not pitching, or will he DH some as well?
It's a great question. Again, we played on Tuesday, so one look. Caden had 3 at-bats. He had a double in the left center field at 114 miles an hour. That's the hardest ball I've ever seen a player hit to the opposite field. And then he hit a ball 111 miles an hour out of the ballpark to right field in his 3rd at-bat of the day. So, he's got extra base damage written all over him. I mean, he's incredibly strong. So when he touches the ball, he can hit it out from pole to pole. He can hit it a long, long way. He's raw as a hitter. He's going to swing and miss some. He's going to strike out some. But he is a better pure hitter right now than he was in the fall. I would say he's certainly made some significant strides. I think he's also a very good defender at first base. And he's a human eclipse over there. If you throw it in the area code, he should be able to catch it. He's 6'6". So, when you have a guy like Caden Grice, who is certainly in the mix to be a weekend starter, and he's also, a premier power bat that can play first base. And you have a guy like Davis Sharpe, who is, arguably the best two-way player in the nation, in my opinion. I would say he's the best two-way player in the country. I'd like to see one that's better. A Friday night starter who's also a middle of the order type hitter. When you have those two guys at first base, I think you have a good problem on your hands. Davis pitches on Friday night. A guy like Grice could play first base while Davis is pitching. And then when Caden's pitching on Saturday, you got a guy like Davis who can play first base. So we also have a guy in Briar Hawkins who's played a lot of baseball here, who's played some first base as well and has played some third base. So, and we feel again like we have some depth and some options, but I could see a scenario where Sharpe and Grice could both get some time at first base. And it's very, very important for us too, if those two guys are going to be weekend starters, that we don't wear them out with defensive reps and keeping them on their feet. So, it gives us the opportunity to play one at first and potentially DH one as well. Because they're so valuable to us pitching wise. Davis is going to want to play first base every day he's not pitching. I know Davis wants to hit all the time, and Caden's going to want to do the same thing because they're big time competitors and they want to help our team win in all facets. It's my job, to pull the reins back on both of those guys and just make sure that I can keep them as healthy as possible throughout the course of the season. So, we feel like we have a good balance there, but we also have a good problem on our hands with both of those guys.
We have time for one more question for Coach Lee.
Coach, I imagine the late draft in July is a nice refreshing change for you. I know all college coaches would prefer to have the major league draft after the season ends. What do you feel about the first ever combine that they're going to hold a couple weeks before that?
Quite honestly, I'm a real big fan of just controlling what I can control. I don't really worry too much about when the draft is, what's going on from a combine standpoint or not. Those types of things, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about them or worrying about them. The draft's going to come when the draft's going to come. Would we prefer it to be a little bit earlier? I would, just because you kind of know who's coming and going a little bit, and you have time to possibly plan accordingly with grad transfers and things of that nature. You may be able to find a guy late, a JUCO transfer or a grad transfer or something of that nature. So the earlier the draft is, the better for us as college coaches. But Major League Baseball doesn't care what we think about the draft. They're going to draft whenever they decide they want to draft, and that just is what it is. So, I mean, quite honestly, we'll deal with it. We've always had to deal with it. We've had to deal with the draft forever. It's and I hope we have a bunch of guys get drafted. College coaches sometimes are thought of as we want to keep our guys. We don't want our guys to get drafted. We want them back. I'm a little bit on the other side of it. I want to prepare my guys. Every kid that plays at Clemson has a dream of playing professional baseball. So if I'm doing a good job of developing my players and they're getting better and better and better, by the time they're juniors, they should be getting drafted. So I feel a little bit differently about it. I hope we have a bunch of guys get drafted, and it's our job to recruit good players to replace them if we do get hit hard by the draft. We'll be fine. We got a bunch of guys that are probably going to get drafted off of this year's team. And, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hopefully all of them are healthy and have the kind of years that warrants getting drafted, because then you have the best of both worlds. Those guys are helping you win games, and then they get to move on and play professional baseball. So.
All right. With that, thank you, Coach Lee. We'll have David Sharpe up momentarily.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Next up is Davis Sharpe. Please go ahead with questions.
Davis, Joe Gorcho, WIS-TV, Columbia, South Carolina. As we inch closer to the beginning of baseball season, if you could you reflect on the suddenness of the end last year and what you felt, and now the excitement to know that this year is fully underway and you get to be on that diamond competing with your brothers again?
Yeah, we felt like we were rolling last year. Right when the season ended, I feel like that's when we were playing our best baseball. And everybody in the locker room, everybody in this whole organization was, we were upset. And 10 months later, 11 months later, however many months it was, we're super excited to get back. I think we all miss baseball. We all watched the major leagues, so they got to play again. So we're just super excited to get back out there. And I know everybody here in this locker room and just here in general is ready to go.
Hey, Davis, this is David Hood with TigerNet.com. And talking to Coach Lee just now, he's really pushing you. He wants you to be that Friday night guy. He wants you to be that number one starter. Do you like that kind of expectation out of you? Do you embrace that challenge that he's put on you?
Yeah, I love it. My freshman year, I was the Friday night guy. Last year, I threw on Saturdays. I'm ready for that moment, and I don't think the pressure is going to be it's not going to get to me, because I've been there for 2 years in a row, and I think that's great that he expects me to be that guy. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm just going to go out there and do what I've done the past 2 years and just have fun. It's a big year for me and for a lot of guys, but you can't think about it like that. I just think about it as just going out there and having fun and competing.
Hey, Davis, this is Trevor Gross from CUTalkers.com. Coach Lee just told us that he believes that you're the best two-way player in America, but at the same time, he said that he has to sometimes pull the reins back on you because you're such a competitor and you want to always be playing first base every day you're not pitching and always be hitting. How difficult is it, I guess, to allow him to pull back the reins and know that you might have to ease off a little bit when you're not pitching in order to save something in the tank?
Yeah, just as a competitor, it's hard to. You want to be out there every day and play every day. I think everybody here wants to do that, but I kind kind of figured that out firsthand experience my freshman year. You know, my body kind of wore down at the end of the year. But I'm more mature. I know what my body needs. I know what I need to do. But, you know, I'm going to do whatever I need to do, whatever he thinks is best for me to help the team throughout the longevity of the season. So, you know, like I said, it's fun playing every day. But if he thinks that, you know, me resting some days is better for me, then I'm gonna be with him on that.
Davis, Joe Gorcho again in WIS in Columbia. Curious, how would you describe the uniqueness of this offseason and preparing to play a season? And how does that alter developing team chemistry and relationships, just given the parameters around playing and the precautions you have to take?
I mean, yeah, it was different. You know, we didn't get to be in our locker room all fall, and I think that changes a little bit of the not culture around here, but just being closer to some of the guys that like freshmen that you didn't really know that much. But you know, our team is super close. We you know, our culture is built tremendously since I've been here as a freshman, as a sophomore. You know, just this culture that we have here is everybody's a family, and we're all going to pull for each other. And that's what Coach Lee, he always says is, you know, just root for your teammates, just always be there for them, and when they're having success, just be as happy as when you're having success. So I think that just, you know, I think we're really close, and we're back in the locker room now, so we get to get closer. You know, the off season was a little difficult just because, you know, we weren't together all of last year, and you know, it was a little different this fall, but you know, every team has to go through it.
Are we back? Sorry about that. Go ahead with questions.
Hey, Davis, it's Trevor again. What are your first impressions of Caden Grice? From an outsider, it seems like he's kind of like your mirror image coming in as a freshman. He's a potential weekend starter. He's got power at the plate. What kind of wisdom will you be able to impart to him, having gone through what he's going through now?
Yeah, that kid has some of the most raw potential I've ever seen. He's a just unreal athlete. You know, he's got unreal power. He's really good on the mound. He's got control. I mean, he's just like me, man. I mean, we're together all the time just because we are the only two ways here. And so we go through the same thing together. We work out together. We're always at first base together. We're always hitting together. I mean, I've gotten really close with Caden. So, you know, I can just give him the advice that just have fun and don't try to put too much pressure on yourself, because he's going to play a lot. You know, he's going to be a big part of this team this year. And, you know, just helping him out. Like I said, in my freshman year, my body kind of wore down. Just giving him some tips on that and how to, you know, just be ready for the longevity of the season and to just be healthy for a whole season. And I'm excited. I think we're both going to play first base a bunch, and he's going to be a big asset to this team this year.
Hey, Davis, it's David Hood with TigerNet again. Do you like the depth of this pitching staff maybe over the past couple of years? Obviously, you're missing a couple of key guys, but Coach Lee says, you know, from the Friday night starter to the back end of the bullpen, he really likes what he has. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of guys. And, you know, obviously we lost Strider and Weatherly and Spires, but we had a lot of guys that threw last year that are going to be big components for our team this year. I mean, I know you guys probably, I'm sure Coach Lee probably said this, but we got a really good freshman class on the mound. You know, Ty Olenchuk, Landon Lucas, like I said, Caden, a couple other guys that are going to be big parts of this pitching staff. And just guys in my class like me, Carter, Mac Anglin, and a lot of guys that are just going to have to step up and be bigger roles this year than they were in the past. And I think we're all ready for that. You know, we're older and more mature, and I think everybody's ready to take on that task.
Davis,
We have time for one more question for Davis.
Yeah, Davis, I'm curious. If I'm not mistaken, you guys were left out of the top 25 Baseball America preseason. Do you guys notice that, and how does that maybe fuel or motivate a little bit more that maybe those on the outside don't think you're one of the premier programs entering this season on one of the teams to look out for?
It just gives us a chip on our shoulder. It gives us something to prove. You know, we see it. We definitely see it. You know, we don't put too much emphasis on it. You know, and the season's not here. We haven't played in 10 months. I mean, you don't look at that too much, but, you know, it's definitely motivation for us to prove something and go out there when the season starts to make a name for ourselves. You know, we're Clemson Tigers. I mean, everybody knows we're elite baseball club, and it just gives us something to prove and go out there and just do it.
All right. With that, thank you, Davis. Next up will be Kier Meredith in approximately 1 minute.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Davis.
Thanks, Davis.
Okay, last up today is Kier Meredith. Please go ahead with questions.
Hey, Kier, it's Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com. You were having a phenomenal start to the season last year, 364 batting average, and obviously a team as well was off to a tremendous start. How difficult was it for you just to have the season abruptly stop, especially, I guess it was the third time in a row for you because you've had the injuries the past couple of years as well?
Oh, yeah, it sucked. I felt like the team was in a really good position when the season ended. And when it first happened, a lot of us were just shocked and disbelief. But we had to push through it, but it definitely sucked at first.
Garrett, Joe Gorcha, WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina. Getting over the suddenness, now that you guys have maybe adopted a new mindset, what are you most looking forward to now as you inch closer to the season, knowing what you went through, the suddenness of the end of last year, and now, again, spring, eternal here with the baseball season. So what are you most looking forward to get back on the field and competing?
I think you just said it. We're looking forward to getting back on the field. It's been 10, 11 months that we've all played baseball together. And so we're just excited. Hopefully we can get through a full season this year, which it looks like we will be able to. We're all just excited to get out there and compete with each other.
What do you like about the makeup of this year's team?
Can you repeat that?
What do you like about the makeup of this year's team?
It's a brotherhood here. And as this is my fourth year here now, I think as time's gone on, this core group of guys, we've gotten closer to each other. We're really a family. This is the closest I felt like the team has been since I've been here in 4 years. And so I think that says a lot. Like I said, it's a brotherhood here and we're a big family.
Hey, here, it's David Hood with TigerNet.com. Where do you see yourself kind of fitting in the lineup wise? Obviously, a lot of people think you're a prototypical leadoff hitter, left-handed, can drive to all fields, but where do you kind of see yourself slotting in this year?
I'm not sure. That decision is up to me. That's up to Coach Lee. But I know I'll be ready to go wherever he has me this year. So.
Kier, it's Trevor again. I know y'all experimented with a new format in the fall with 3 teams rather than 2. How do you think that worked out? And do you think that the additional personnel that you had kind of added to the competition as more so than years past?
This is my favorite fall when I compare them to years past. I think having 3 teams and being on 3 teams for the entire fall, it added a lot more competition. We're a bunch of competitors here, and so being on the same team all fall and competing against the other teams, it caused the competition here to heighten a little bit. And I loved it. I love the new format.
I asked Davis this. I'll ask you the same question. Being left out of the preseason top 25 in Baseball America, is that something you notice? And does that add an extra chip to your shoulder, perhaps, that a team like Clemson is not being recognized as one of the 25 best entering the season?
Absolutely. It's something we definitely notice. But last time I checked, there are no awards given out at the beginning of the season. And there's no trophies given out at the beginning of the season. And, the cream always is going to rise to the top. And so we've always had a chip here on our shoulders at Clemson. And that just adds to it a little bit more. We'll be ready to go compete February 19th. And we'll see where the chips may fall at the end of the season.
After what you guys went through last year, I'm curious, do you have a greater appreciation just to be able to play the game?
Absolutely. We went through a lot last year. And I think if COVID showed us anything, it's that nothing really is in our control. We can focus on the things that we can control, and that's all we can really do. And so absolutely, it was taken away from us in the blink of an eye. No one expected it. So it definitely adds a little more appreciation to playing baseball and to life as well as we know it.
Here's Trevor again. Obviously, base running is a big part of your game. And Coach Broughton came over last year, and that's kind of like his bread and butter. How much did he bring to the table just in terms of your running game as a team?
He's brought a ton to the table since he's been here the last 2 years. Like you just said, that's his bread and butter. He's what some may call a base running guru. But he's brought some things to the table that I've never even thought about or heard of before he came here. And so he's been a tremendous help. And I think that'll show over the course of a full season this year.
Being one of the leaders on this team, how do you approach this season, especially getting the younger guys to try to assimilate? And I have to imagine it's a unique experience for the freshmen because it hasn't been a traditional offseason. It's not going to be a traditional training camp leading up to opening day. So how do you view your role to help these younger guys come along?
I think I just, one, lead by example and show these guys the ropes a little bit. And two, I think this is new for all of us, me included, the older guys as well. So I think the best thing that I can do is lead by example. And when I see a freshman struggling or anybody struggling for that matter, put my arm around them and help them out. I've been through a lot of adversity, I feel like. And so I feel like over the course of me being here, I've learned a lot to help other people when it comes to moving forward and pushing through things. So, yeah, the biggest thing, like I just said, is leading by example for sure.
Kier, what about your health this year going into this season? I know in the past it's been a problem staying healthy. And what have you learned as far as taking care of yourself over your course of your career here at Clemson?
Yeah, I was that guy in high school that could just crack his back a couple times and take some swings or throw. And I played a bunch of sports in high school and really didn't think too much of it. But here I've obviously learned I have to take care of my body off the field when it comes to pre-practice routines, really making sure I'm rolling out. I'm stretching, and when it comes to after practice, making sure I'm cooling down and stretching and rolling out and just taking care of my body. I've learned that a lot over the last 3 years, but heading into this season, I'm 100% healthy, ready to go, and ready to pick up where we left off last year.
Any other questions for Kier?
Yeah, another question for you, Kier. Your base stealing abilities are something that you pride yourself on, and your base running skills. Is that something this year that you want to let the rest of the ACC know that you're around and that you're a force on the base pass once you get up like the first 90 feet?
Absolutely. I feel like speed's always been a big tool for me. And so going into this year, hopefully we can have a full season, and that's something I definitely look forward to.
Anything else for Kier? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Kier.
guys.
Here.